So I was just thinking the other day, if a mom went no contact with a child, for all the same reasons, it would be abandonment. But yet when a child does it to a parent, it's not called abandonment. It's called no contact. So these are kinds of things that I've been mulling over in the past few days. And I guess his comment kind of brought that out.
I disagree, because it's not called abandonment if you're leaving a completely abusive situation. It's not called abandonment if you have a severely handicapped child that you put into a higher care facility. It's not called any of that. When we were taking care of ourselves, especially as adult people, we have accountability. We have the fact that, like, okay, I don't like the fact that this person is saying these things to me. I don't like that this person is treating me that way. And unfortunately, I'm going to cut this person out of my life. Doesn't matter if they're your child or not. You fulfilled your duty as a parent to raise them until the age of 16 or 18 with as much love as you can possibly fathom. And if you truly fulfilled that, sure, we all mess up. Sure, we're all human and we all like have our fallacies, but no, I completely disagree with that statement, because I don't think that it would be abandonment for you to choose yourself if somebody is truly treating you wrong. And that's a lot of times what this estrangement is. It could still be called estrangement. You're still no contact with that person. It's just a different type of relationship. And I'm sure there's plenty of them out there, especially from the things that I read. Like, it's not just called estrangement on the child's part, because it's not just the child who's choosing this. There's still the actions put behind it lead somebody to this. And in this man's instantiation, like, it's the fact that his mom is so freaking mean. The words you say affect people. And now we're finally getting to generations where we focus on mental health, where we focus on, yeah, maybe the things that I say do affect other people. So no, you can still choose to not be a part of that person's life, still care about them, and not have that be just like, woe is me, poor me, I'm abandoning, now I'm the bad guy because I chose myself. You're the only one putting that standard on you.
I want to, and I want to share Tammy's comment in just a minute. I want to take this outside of the parent-child relationship for just a minute, because we experience relationships in every different dynamic in every area of our life. And say, somebody at the office, that you only see, let's say 8 hours a day. People don't even work in offices 8 hours a day anymore, but let's say everybody works in an office 8 hours a day, and somebody says something mean. You just choose to probably stay away from that person. You don't go out with them after work or this sort of thing, but you still have to get your work done or whatever, be civil with them. Now, and even in dating and relationships, somebody says something flat out mean to you, you're done with that relationship. You leave it, you break up with them. And this is all considered very normal. It comes down to the person, the individual, and that if you say something mean to one person, you're going to say something mean to another. Okay, now I want to defend parents for just a minute, because parenting is a selfless job and it's 24/7, and you don't get the breaks and you don't get to choose most of the time. When you're having a bad day, you don't get to put parenting on pause. You don't. So I've been in relationships with people and heard my parents fighting, and they say, I hate you. Yesterday it was I love you. Today it's I hate you. And yes, that's very difficult to reconcile. But as you mature in age, you start to just recognize that it's that person's stuff. I've apologized to my kids for not being able to hold it together 24/7 when I absolutely needed to for their sake. But I couldn't do it. I was tired. I wasn't feeling well. And that's when I lost it. And that's, where we talked about it. And Cheryl and I've said, well, what about yelling? Is that abuse? So it's just in those moments that we always wish we could take back, whether it be at work, whether it be in romantic situations, We say things, we do things because we're human. We're not at our best 100% of the time. I don't know anybody who can be. But now we have to live with the repercussions of our actions. And that's so great, especially when it's a child. If it's a job, forget it, you found a new one. If it was a lover, forget it, you found a new one. But if your children, yes, you thought they were always going to be there. And then when that happens, without the opportunity to be able to discuss or share like we're doing, I mean, Jillian, I would love it if my daughter came to me and said, no, you're wrong. Let me tell you how it is. I would give it anything for that conversation. And now, I mean, before the estrangement, I would have taken it differently. I probably would have pushed back. What are you talking about? Just like Cheryl said, what are you talking about? You know, but now I would listen and take it on very differently. And I think a lot of parents would, and that's my point. We're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. Even if we're changing, even if we're doing the work with this no contact rule, there's just no opportunity to work through anything.
I think that, at least in my opinion, and speaking for myself and people that I also know are estranged, no contact is like the last and final straw. It's not like it just comes out of the blue. There were signs, there was things that you could see, there were things that you were doing, and the work should have been done during those times, like much like with Aleia and her mom, where, you know, when her mom was doing the work and she could see like the progress that was being made, she was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like maybe things are actually changing. And then it just regressed right back into it. So there are opportunities and there are times where it's like, yeah, like you can have this opportunity to like work on it. And then I think that the most jarring thing about estrangement when that like decision is finally made is because then it's like, oh, well, I had all this time and like, just give me the time to work on it. And it's like, you already had it. You already had all this time and the time was there. You just, what you did with it is the problem because it was nothing. If that makes sense.
I'm going to read some of the comments and then I want to hear what you guys have to say. So Tammy says that makes me fully more connected to understanding that their side is valid and we don't get to decide. We didn't hurt our adult children. I accept I must dive deeper into what my daughter feels, whether I agree or not necessarily. I know I hurt her and I didn't feel that I alone damaged her, yet I cannot control her dad's side of it. I must face me. Yeah, we all have to look at ourselves in the mirror. That's what I was saying. Then Dina said, I took a hiatus from meeting with my children for Sunday dinner, and that was something that was so hurtful to them. My son left my home in rage after I asked what was going on with what I was saying that was causing tears to well up. His response was, it's rage, and he left. I was in the habit of reaching out to my kids to fix the hurts, but he was 35, and I expected that as an adult, he would revisit the conversation. He did not, and when I finally reached out, pointed out the exact number of days, I had gone silent. So as a child, if parents go no contact, is something held against us? He pointed out the days of silence from my end.
Yeah, I can see both sides. I understand absolutely what Jillian's saying and what Cher's saying. I think there's a component, like it would be seen as abandonment if we left and didn't try to make a contact later. If we just completely cut them off, I think it would be called abandonment. I'm thinking of Marsha Linehan's Abandonment. I don't know, Jillian, in your psych stuff, have you heard about Marsha Linehan and all that? I figured you had. But you know, it's the same thing. Like we're all using different definitions. We're using terms and we're not defining them. and somebody may see abandonment as, defined abandonment as one thing, and somebody else define it as a totally different thing. So I think that's a lot of the problem is this, we have these terms and they're almost interchangeable too. And so that doesn't help with our communication at all, but which is exactly why we're doing what we're doing, is because, bringing us all together for the roundtable helps us clarify a lot of things. And it's unfortunate that we don't have that with our, whoever we're estranged from. But yeah, I wish in the work I've done, I've thought, oh gosh, I would love for my daughter to see who I am today and be able to sit down with me and for her to say things and me not be defensive. That's what I tended to do, is try to explain and shoot my side and stuff. But so I think it would be very different now. But I don't know how to even make that happen and let her know it would be different. And that's kind of where I am right now. Go ahead, Lisa.
And when Julia was saying, about the parent needs to do the work, and Aleia has shared that when her and her mom were reading, self-help books together, it really made a big difference. I was a quote unquote conscious parent for many years. Did I do it all the way through perfectly? Absolutely not. But my spiritual journey began at a very young age, and I read self-help books like a personal growth junkie. And I taught my kids and raised them in those principles. But I knew as a parent, I wasn't going to do it 100% right, which is why I made different choices for them. I put them in the best private school, a loving Montessori school, to where I know that they would just feel love and nourishment from school and teachers, because I knew I was going to drop the ball. Just everything that they went to a spiritual center in which they were taught principles of meditation and open-mindedness and effective communication, because I knew I wasn't going to do it right. I was lucky to be able to give them such a good foundation for these things. And yet here I am. And I think Jillian said some things. Looking back on it now, I saw the signs. I saw it coming. And at the time, I wish I even knew what the word estrangement was, or I wish that I understood that this could have been a possibility. Never in my mind would I have ever thought that I would have been estranged from this kid who we talked for 2 hours every single week, mostly laughing. It would have just never registered. But now looking back on it, those times of her frustration with me, or her, where I hurt her without realizing I hurt her, I wish I could have just stopped and said, did I just poke you there? Did I say something wrong? For example, when Cheryl mentioned, and I've done this with my daughters, when you stop them from going out the door wearing something that isn't flattering, it's not that you think they're fat, you think they're this, or you think they're that. It's because you yourself did it. You snuck out of the house wearing something that wasn't very flattering, and you experienced something as a result of it. Maybe it was some unwanted male attention or something, or maybe a girlfriend made fun of you. But as a parent, as a mom, that's what's in the back of our mind, is rethink that outfit. But she very well could have been hearing, my mom thinks I'm fat.
Mm-hmm.
So we come at this with so many different intentions.
Yeah. And none of us ever had the intention of estrangement. That was not our intention. And I could resonate with what you said about your daughter. You talked to her for, a couple hours at a time. And I know my daughter, I felt like was like, she would reach out to me to help her do something, or to come over and, watch the boys or whatever. And just different things that made me think she was really dependent. And I wanted her to be independent. So, I wonder how much, what I could have done differently. I don't try to hang out there very much in my head, but what could have been if I had known what estrangement was and what all that was, the impact of that, yeah, I would have done things differently.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Well, and in every area of life, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
would have done business deals
Mhm.
differently. I would have done dating differently. I mean,
Yeah,
just every
definitely.
area of life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.